go out. It's a good start from Sam Polly at the wheel of the Mini Marcos. Car, of course, that was built by Jem Marcus's company, who was a former chairman of the Classic Sports Car Club that we sadly lost a few years ago. But it is Sam Polly that leads the pack. This enormous field of, 33 cars are qualified over the course of this morning. And Swinging 60s is always one of those. It might be the oldest series that we've got. It's been around longer than any other CSCC series. It's for the oldest cars that we race with as well, but it's always arguably one of the fullest of grids. So full, of course, we've got to have 2 races. Group 1 race now, Group 2 race will be coming up later on. But everybody, I'm delighted to say, Chris, is safely through the first corner with the pole sitter, the Mini Marcus, leading the way.
Yeah, Sam Polly, he had a puncture at the end of his qualifying session. He qualified on pole and then had to be recovered on the back of a truck. But all is well with the car. He didn't damage anything, didn't hit anything, and he had a bit of a struggle in the. He was pole last year and overcooked his. Well, I say overcooked. He was slightly exuberant into Wilson, but he was also playing caution. Playing the cautious game on lap 1, but still came through to win the race last time out. Can he make it 2 for 2? Well, of course we will see. Quite a number of familiar cars, but there is just something so magical about seeing the classic machinery, where it all began for the club. Seeing them do battle as they would have done in period is absolutely magical to see.
Yeah, and I think it is the 20th anniversary of the first ever Classic Sports Car Club Swinging 60s race. 2003 was the first time we saw it, so it's celebrating its 20th birthday this year. Staggering. And I think there's probably only about half a season I've ever not commentated on of these. It's always a wonderful series to see. So Sam Polly leading the way. We've got good fights all the way down through the order as well. I'm just having a quick look at the white BMW heading round through Brundle and Nelson now. That is the number 34 car of Charles Tippett, isn't it, that is fighting away with one of the many sprites that we've got in the field. The number 81 car that he's doing battle with, having to stick his elbows out of James Atkinson and try and hang on to the position. Tim Cairns is not too far behind them either at the wheel of the beautiful little number 18 Turner Mark II. Tim, who is arguably, I'd say over the years, one of the most successful Swinging 60s drivers that we've ever had, actually. He's been proudly racing with the number 1 on several separate occasions. Lock brakes from the sprite of Simon Page going in towards Murray's. Side by side, nose to tail, 2, 3 breast. They'll all do everything in the early stages of this race, but they're all driving very sensibly.
Absolutely, and because the cars are a bit of a smaller frame, you can fit 3 of them wide coming through the likes of Murray's. But goodness me, they're all absolutely fighting. Exactly as you say, Mark, they're all really behaving themselves, but they are doing a brilliant job. Yeah, Simon Page realising a bit early he was going in a bit hot into through Coram and into Murray, so snatched the brake a little bit to keep himself under control. Tim Cairns, hasn't he been racing in every single year that the club has been in existence?
Yes, he has. Yeah, he's raced every single year, and Tim can trace his roots back. I mean, I would guess maybe not the 60s racing, but certainly the 70s. He was when we used to have a separate championship for standard MG road-going midgets. He was twice a champion in that. We had a series in the 80s for the modified midgets. He was twice a champion in that as well. He's always been a very, very quick and rapid driver, and even though he's now not in the first flush of youth, putting it politely, he's still as quick as ever, and a very, very talented engineer as well. Does most of the work, if not all of the work, on his own cars. Just look at the variety of cars. There's the Cloutman driven, Mark Cloutman at the wheel of the pink/purple Austin A40, a very unique looking car. He's coming under pressure from Rod Roodhouse at the wheel of the newly painted Mini for this season, the green car. But ahead of them is another little battle that's going on. That will be the Mini Mark 1 of Rory Longdon that's fighting away with Simon Page that's behind, and that's a stalled Lotus Cortina that's struggling to get going by the look of things. That is Carl Foster's car, isn't it, that was struggling there?
It didn't look very happy, did it? It's certainly very, very reluctant to move. Looked like it was down at Hamilton, but this pack is still fighting away. There it is. That's the number 12 car. It was indeed Carl Foster, newcomer to the club, I believe, in that 1600 Cortina. And yes, that's not been a wonderful debut for that car. A great shame. But the lead battle still rages on. The number 66 Sprite of Richard Perry still determined to keep the Mini Marcos under, keep it true and honest. Oh, did you see the sideways of that, of the 81? James Atkinson getting very exuberant, coming through Coram. There is kicking a bit of dust and a bit of lawn mowing there for Ian Stone. RG Race Engineering Midgets. They come screaming over the line. Yeah, the 144, the Roodhouse Mini, was yellow and red. It was nicknamed Noddy last season. It's now got a picture of Kermit the Frog in the back, so you can guess what its nickname now is.
Yeah, so great battles going up towards Richie's corner. The number 173 Sprite, which is Connor Kay, working terribly hard to try and keep cars behind him. He just managed to get across the nose of the number 16 car before they got into Richie's, but as they now head down into the braking area for Wilson, the door is open, the job is done, and through and gaining the place is the car that was sitting behind, which is Ian Staines. Well, Ian Staines at the moment, where is he on track? Yeah, he's gained lots of places because he only qualified 27th, Ian Staines.
Wow.
And he's up to 11th, so he must have had problems in qualifying. He only did 2 laps, so tells you something went wrong.
Yeah, that came back on the back of the truck. I remember seeing that one, and it spent a lot of the day in bits. So they've done a great job to get that one back up the way. Number 27 being worn, as always, by local construction boss Martin Reynolds. He had a bit of trouble with that with that car last year. It was constantly running rich. He just could not get it to behave itself. And sadly, Martin ran out of fuel up at Wilson, so he had to pull that one off. He had a Mustang as well last year that he just could not get to go anywhere. So whilst one was determined to run away too quickly for its own good, the other one wasn't prepared to run at all. So it wasn't a good day for Martin Reynolds last year, but having a good fight with a lot of chasing cars behind him, that's going to be quite an uncomfortable position to be when you've got so much pressure behind.
Yeah, big pack of cars coming down in towards Brundle and Nelson at the moment. Martin Reynolds with that queue of cars that sits behind him, which includes Ian Staines, who looks as though he might have a run on him here. Yeah, around the outside at Brundle. He's already through by the time they get towards Nelson, and now the door is left open, which almost allowed the next of the cars to try and squeeze its way through, which will be the Frog-Eyed Sprite in the hands of James Hughes. But Ian Staines was having none of that and just prevented the little Sprite from working its way through. So great little fight that's going on. We're heading around through Coreham and in towards the braking area for Murray's before too much longer, as our race leaders are already starting to potentially, some of them, pit, because, oh wait, no, this is, in the pit lane is David Cornwallis. Pit window hasn't opened, so they shouldn't be pitting just as yet. And I think the rather slow Carl Foster Lotus Cortina has finally made it back to the pit lane, so he's limped it back.
He has indeed. And the number 712 car, Michael Didcot, his MGB's already been through the pits as well. So few people seem to be having a few issues here coming, or they've forgotten when the pit lane opens. It happens, unfortunately. And yeah, the number 12, feeling a bit sorry for herself. That's returning to the paddock. And that's going to be the last we see of that one. A great shame for that one. It's always feels bad for cars that retire. One, because we don't get to enjoy them out on track, but two, as you were saying earlier, Mark, you get the people that everybody puts so much time and effort and money into preparing these beautiful cars, and for them to let them down within half a dozen laps. Yeah,
so such a shame, but it is the first race of the season. Of course, they've been doing work over the course of the weekend. We are pretty much nose to tail for the lead of the race, heading up in towards Oggie's Corner, which is where the race leaders are at this stage. It won't be that much longer also before the pit window opens. So up towards Williams go the leading pair. The Mini Marcos of Sam Polly only just ahead of Richard Perry, who is not giving up his pursuit to try and take up the lead of the race. The Marcos is a fairly aerodynamic shape, isn't it, in reality, for a little small car? But of course, Richard Perry's car is quite low slung, isn't it? You just got the roll hoop because it's an exposed roof on that car. Might he be able to close in? No, they're evenly matched as they head down in towards the braking area. They'll both be running the A-Series engine, of course. Bouncing over the curbs, traffic to deal with just up the road as well, which I think might be Michael Didcot. Car number 712 is going to be the next of the cars that they might just have to squeeze their way by. The marshals will wave the blue flags. Hopefully Didcot will maintain the line that he's on, which is hugging the inside line round through Coreham. That means that Sam Polly has to go all the way around the outside on the run in towards the braking area for Murray's. What is Richard Perry going to do? He's going to bide his time and be patient, lose a little bit of time on the way into Murray's, but try and work his way through on the way out. So traffic worked a little bit better there for the race leader, didn't it, as they worked their way round through Coreham and concluded what will be lap number 4.
Traffic giveth and traffic taketh away. There'll be times when that'll go for and against any driver, but Sam Polly is doing everything he can to get away. Oh, that's trouble for the James and John Hughes car. Oh dear, that's come to rest. I can't tell where that's come to rest, but that is not a good way to win. Oh, no trouble for our race leader. That's up at Wilson, so big lock up there. It's, oh dear, I mean, he suffered a puncture in qualifying. That was why he had to come back, and now he's gone for a bit more of a lawn mow. Oh, what a shame. He's really doing well to keep the ever persistent Richard Perry, who was last seen in a midget, I believe, in these parts, but now he's got it all to do.
Yeah, just lost it under braking, didn't he? So went in towards the braking area for the Wilson hairpin. He lost it, and the car sort of speared over to the left-hand side and skittered onto the grass. So through has gone Tom Peed now in the orange BMW 1600 Ti into the lead of the race. Charles Tippett is now up into a position as well, but is about to lose it again as they head in towards the braking area for Agostini. And I think, if you're watching the stream, we might be able to have a quick look at the replay of exactly what happened there. So a quick look at exactly what happened. Onto the brakes, the car, yeah, locks the rear wheels, doesn't it? So the rear wheels lock on the Mini Marcos, and as soon as the rear wheels lock, then Sampoli is out of control. He tries to gather it up, but the car spears onto the grass on the left-hand side. Through goes to take up the lead without too much trouble, Richard Perry, and by the time that Sampoli had recovered, he was down to 4th. He's now at least back to 3rd position, isn't he? Because he's got himself ahead of the white BMW 2002, which is Charles Tippett. The next BMW he's going to want to attack is going to be the 600 Ti in the hands of Tom Peed, which is the orange car, just heading in towards Brundle and Nelson.
And there they are. That's 2nd and 3rd in that same shot, or 2nd, 3rd and 4th indeed, in that same shot. Yeah, I would imagine that Sampoli won't suffer too badly behind Tom Peed. Of course, you know, the Vargas Racing orange BMW has been in the hands of Tom Peed for a long, long time. That's a Niki Lauda replica, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
Once when I first met him at Castle Combe a couple of years ago, he had Peed and Lauda on the side of the car, and I was like, "Oh, did you really?" And I said, "No, replica." I thought I said to him, "You could have spun me an absolute yarn there, and I would have run with that for years." But no, he was a very honest man. But, oh my goodness, look at this, Simon Page. You're under a lot of pressure here. There's the Longdon Mini, looking to try and improve its position. Now there is another newcomer to the club. That is behind the Longdon Mini, who's looking to try and go the long way around and very fidgety behind Simon Page. Oh wow, he's very, very fidgety, isn't he? Now the car behind,
Mark Canese.
Yes, Mark Canese. He's Dutch, which first time it's the maiden voyage for that Mini, and wow, he's having a very strong look on the outside line of the Longdon Mini coming down into turn 1. He's not going to win out. Mini versus Mini, there's not enough difference there, but again, the car looked absolutely immaculate. And he hasn't had the car particularly long. Looking at my notes, he's had it since November.
Right.
So it's been in storage for 5 years. This is the first time it's raced. And obviously in that period of time, so he only bought it back in November, 154 horsepower in something that weighs barely more than a damp flannel. So yes, he's having a great run. He really didn't expect to be pushing the top 10.
And the orange colours, is that because he is from the Netherlands?
Yes,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's the national racing colour of Holland.
So that's the little pair of Minis just heading in towards the braking area for Agostini now. You can see them all cocking their wheels. Rory Longdon runs a little bit wide, which means that Mark Canese is almost getting himself up the inside at the wheel of the slightly newer shape Mini, and should have the inside line when they get towards Hamilton. Is he going to brave it out? Yes, through he goes, gains the place. So Mark Canese gains the place largely because Rory Longdon then just went a little bit too hot in towards Agostini, so that means that the Mark 1 drops down through the order, and retirement, I'm afraid to say, and that is for the car that had charged its way from the tail end of the field. That is Ian Staines, who has pulled the car off the circuits right up against the barriers, so he's well and truly out of harm's way, but I'm afraid to say that fantastic drive up through the order is going to come to nothing.
What a great shame. Yeah, it was a brave charge that we were seeing from Ian Staines, but sadly, as you say, all come to naught. That's the Howes Racing car on the inside line having a go with the Minis, but not yet kicking off as we're seeing some people completing their pit stops. I'm going to head down to the pit lane and see who I can agitate.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, so Chris Buxton is going to make his way down into the pit lane. The squabble's still continuing out on circuit, including the battle between the two Minis, which is just coming round through Corham and up towards Murray's at the end of the lap. Mark Canese still fighting away with Rory Longdon. You can see almost sideways coming in towards Corham. The early part of it is Rory Longdon. He's skittering the car around on the way out of the corner. And those two are, I think, are slowly getting caught by the next of the cars that sits behind as well, which I think is Julian Howe's MGB GT, car number 101, the blue car with the orange stripes down it. So he's sort of trying to get in on the mix as well. In fact, no, he's coming to the pit lane. I wondered why he didn't come through. He has also dived for the pit lane this time through. So the pit lane is ever filling up. More and more teams and drivers opting to dive into the pit lane with, what, about 9 minutes or so of the pit window still remaining. One of those that's in at the moment is Steve Chaplin, who is giving way to a son, which is Adam Chaplin. So that is taking place at the moment. The car that qualified in 11th position, car number 421, and was up into 7th place before it dives for the pit lane. So that will head back out onto the track, and it's as quick as you can do it again, these pit stops. So as quick as you can get the driver change done, away you go. So the pit lane is going to be a busy place for the next few laps, which is why Chris Buxton has made his way down there. The Austin A40 I know is in, which is Mark Cloutman. We can see there's a slightly more relaxed pit stop from some drivers compared to others, so it is as quick as you can do it, but some take a little bit more time than others, largely because either the confines of the cockpit make it a little bit more difficult. As we say, you know, we do have quite an age range of drivers out there, and maybe as I'm beginning to find out, you become less flexible and things don't work as well as they did. You just make sure that you take a bit more time to get in and out the car, and I think that's what we're seeing Steve Atkinson do at the wheel of his number 49 Austin Healey Sprite, just taking a little bit more time to conduct the pit stop before he will head back out onto the track. So our race leader, which is the number 66 car of Richard Perry, over the start-finish line, continuing to push on. Have we seen Sam Polly come into the pit lane? Yes, we have. So Sam Polly, who was leading the race earlier on, heads into the pit lane this time through. So it's now the all-red number 66 Richard Perry Sprite that leads the way as he heads out of the Wilson hairpin and up towards Palmer for the eighth time of asking. He leads the race. The orange BMW of Tom Peed will now be up into second place. The white BMW, the 2002 of Charles Tippett, will be up into third place. And we'll have to wait and see as to who is there in fourth place. Depending on who pits next time through, that might dictate ultimately who picks up fourth place in at least the interim period whilst we head through this period of pit stops. So Richard Perry at the wheel of the 66 Frog Eye Sprite up towards Hamilton, qualified on the outside of the front row of the grid. He was almost 9/10 of a second slower than Sam Polly in qualifying. It was a 2 minutes 18.578 that was pole. It was a 2 minutes 19.470 for Richard Perry, who qualified in second position. And Tom Peed had qualified in third place, and I think Tom has now picked up second place, still is yet to pit. Who is the first pit stopper that's out there at the moment? It will probably be Sam Polly, now that he's only just conducted his pit stop and gone back out. I think he will still be potentially the leading pit stopper now. But for Richard Perry, for Tom Peed, for Charles Tippett, for Rory Longdon, who's up into fifth place now, car number 119 is up into fifth position. That is another car that is still is yet to pit, which is Ian Bergin. Kim Bradshaw in sixth place, all is yet to pit. So yeah, seventh backwards is where we start to see the first pit stoppers. The Ford Anglia of Martin Reynolds has just conducted his pit stop, so he is about to leave the pit lane. As he vacates the pit lane, in comes Robert Pomeroy to hand over to Hugh Powell, which is, I think, now just completed. So they will make their way out onto track at the wheel of their black Turner very shortly. But the pit lane still looking rather busy, to say the least, with some cars exiting it, some cars in the middle of conducting their pit stops, and other cars still sort of entering the pit lane area with 6 minutes of the window still open. So there's a long, long way to go still before the pit window closes. So there's no rush for the likes of our race leader, Richard Perry, has yet to make his way into the pit lane. He can enjoy the lead. He can enjoy a bit of not either having to chase a car or be chased, and can just concentrate on hitting the deltas in reality, making sure he gets the lap times in that he needs to do. He enjoys a 22-second lead now over Tom Peed's 1600 Ti, that orange BMW that's just heading round through Ritchie's corner. It will be currently on track. So more pit stops being done and dusted. We'll be hearing from some of those drivers down there very shortly. But for our race leader up towards Agostini, he is still as yet to pit, number 66. He is on the heels of the Ford Anglia of Martin Reynolds. I think it's the third weekend of racing on the trot for Martin Reynolds. He was racing at Silverstone a couple of weekends ago in his Ford Escort Mark II. I think he was out last weekend as well there, competing at Silverstone in what would have been another one of the Fords in his collection. Well, it's the Anglia he's brought out this weekend as well. Martin is, again, one of a few names that you regularly see in entry lists sort of weekend after weekend after weekend. Thoroughly enjoys his racing, and such as his collection of cars, he's got a few that he can pick and choose from at any one weekend. So out of Williams comes the race leader, down the Bentley straight, about to place a lap on Martin Reynolds. Both of these cars having already completed their pit stop. So through goes, Martin Reynolds already having completed his pit stop, but Richard Perry, the race leader, not as yet having dived his way into the pit lane. And Richard Perry having dispensed with the Ford Anglia, he'll look in his mirrors and see that Martin Reynolds is now fighting away with, I think, Julian Howe's MGB once more. They were pretty much together before the pit window, and they are fighting for position, actually. The number 27 Ford Anglia and number 101 MGB that have just been overtaken by the race leader. The blue MGB with the orange stripes down the centre. That is for position for what is currently 12th and 13th places. So 9th lap will very shortly be completed by the race leader. Are we going to see Richard Perry head for the pit lane? Yep, so the hand is aloft as he heads out of Murray's, which is the indication he's going to dive for the pit lane this time through. So the race leader is in. As he enters the pit lane, many others are exiting it, including the number 72 MGB Roadster as well, which is Robert Fisher. So Robert has conducted his pit stop, and as Robert Fisher leaves the pit lane, we'll go down into the pit lane where Chris has managed to catch up with somebody.
I am standing here with the one and only Bob Pomeroy. Right, how's the maiden voyage going for the Turner?
Going really well. It's a wonderful car. It has no vices, hasn't got much power with a 1200 engine, but it doesn't let you down at any point. It really goes round the corners and stops. It's fine, really fun.
So it's Dr. Powell that is out there with it at the moment. So where are you just hoping to finish, it being the maiden voyage of the car?
Bringing it back in one piece is the biggest aim by far, yes. Where we are on the road is another thing altogether. Respectable is all we're looking for.
Done for the joy of racing. Well, thank you kindly for bringing the Turner to us, Mr. Pomeroy.
Lovely car.
Absolutely. We get to enjoy that for another few laps, and we look forward to seeing them in future events. Back up to you, Mark, in the commentary box.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, well, at the moment they are running in 19th position overall, the number 89 car, now that Bob Pomeroy's handed the car over to Hugh Powell. That puts them 11th in Class B at the moment. So, yeah, not setting the world alight, but out there enjoying themselves and not going too slowly either. So that's what it's all about. So we've still got a couple of minutes to go before the pit window closes, which means that the number 5 car, Ed Peed, which has picked up the lead of the race, and the car that's currently in second position, which is car number 119, the black Austin Healey Sprite, I think Bergin, need to be getting a hurry up and getting into the pit lane, otherwise they might fall foul of the closure of the pit window, because it is only a couple of minutes away. We've also now got damage, and quite how that's happened, to car number 173, which is Connor Kay's little midget, because the front left-hand corner of that car is looking slightly second-hand now, and there's a bit of tyre rub on the bodywork on occasions when he dives onto the brakes. It just sort of catches the bodywork to a degree, so not quite sure exactly where that happened. Let's have a quick look now as he heads up towards Ritchie's. Yeah, you can see the sort of all of the front left wing is rather deranged on that, and it looks a little bit sad. And there you can see the tyre up just as the wheel loads up, heading round through the right-hander at Ritchie's corner. The left-hand side of the car, the bodywork gets closer to the tyre, and there's just a little puff of smoke with the wheel rub. Doesn't really do it at the slower speeds though, as he heads round through what was the Wilson hairpin that time through, and he is fighting away for position with Adam Chaplin at the wheel of car number 421. So those two cars heading round through Palmer now, the dark black as opposed to light black, the black and silver striped number 421 of Adam Chaplin, wheel to wheel with Connor Kay, who's got the inside line as they head up in towards Agostini. Connor Kay is going to go through by the look of things, so despite the fact that he's had an off somewhere, despite the fact that there's damage to the front left-hand corner, it's not stopping him now, moving his way up into 7th place overall in the race, actually, so a good little fight it is. Tom Peed is in, by the way, 45 seconds before the pit window closes. Tom Peed has already entered the pit lane, so that now means that everybody has stopped other than car number 119, which is Ian Bergin, who is still out there and enjoying himself at the moment, but Ian is heading up towards the conclusion of the lap, so really needs to be heading in towards the pit lane. and instead he goes straight over the start-finish line and does not pit this time through. So we'll go back down into the pit lane. I think Chris Buxton has managed to chat to another driver.
I've coerced Mr. Roothouse to come and have a chat to me. So, how's the Mini formerly known as Noddy doing?
Kermit's going well today, yeah. We seem to have found some pace in the first part of the race. Francesca's just taken over, and I don't know where she is. I'll see her come round in a minute.
I mean, the Mini has been a real force to be reckoned with. It's going from strength to strength, and it's really pressing on. You must be quite happy with the overall pace of the car so far.
It's very good, yeah. We spent most of the winter changing the colour rather than changing anything too dramatic, but we did put a new set of dampers on it, and it's definitely holding the road so much better. Last year it was bouncing down the track. This year it seems to be moving forward, which is good.
Well, the details matter, so that's what counts. But overall, pleased with the car and the performance. Will we be seeing Kermit for multiple rounds this year?
Kermit's planned to be at Thruxton, Anglesey, Brands, Castlecombe, Donington. Yeah.
That's pretty much the entire calendar. Wonderful. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Roothouse. Francesca is continuing to circulate Kermit around the track and enjoy the festivities available here at Snetterton. We hope you're enjoying it as much as we are. Back up to you, Mark, in the commentary box.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, so that was Rod Roothouse. Francesca is out there, currently running car number 114, Kermit, in 14th position overall. She runs in Class C, but that car's third in Class C, so it might be 14th, but it's third in the class at the moment. It is going beautifully well indeed. We have got, at the moment, one car that still hasn't pitted, Ian Bergin. By very virtue of that fact, he's leading the race. However, he's only leading the race by 8.9 seconds from Sam Polly, who has pitted, and surely before too much longer will pick up the race properly on track. Now, where we're going to see Ian Bergin come into the pit lane, that's what begs the question. We've got other cars and drivers that have retired out on track, I'm afraid, and are now rather frustrated spectators. What we have got, though, is a good battle for the lead of the race once more, because Sam Polly has managed to work his way through and ahead of Richard Perry whilst all of the pit stops have been going on, and they are over the start-finish line absolutely together, still running second on the road, in fact now running in the lead on the road, because Phil Bergin does come into the pit lane eventually. So Phil Bergin is in, vacates the lead of the race, so now heading out of Ritchie's is the lead battle. Sam Polly, who had a moment up at the braking area for the Wilson hairpin a few laps ago where he lost the lead because he locked the rear wheels, was a little bit more circumspect with how heavy he pressed the brake pedal that time through. Bouncing over the curbs on the exit, though, is Richard Perry in his best efforts to try and hang on to the coattails of the race leader with 12.5 minutes to go, 12 laps completed, and Richard Perry now looking for the lead of the race, having just posted the fastest lap of the race last time through. Car number 66 up the inside of Sam Polly as they're heading towards the braking area for Agostini. Sam brakes as late as he can. Richard, I think, probably could have had the lead there if he wanted to. Sam then misses the apex somewhat at the wheel of the Mini Marcos, a much wider line through Agostini. They almost rub off each other as they come out of the corner, but Sam is still going to hang on to the lead as they head round through Hamilton. So Richard Perry, 2 minutes 17.388 last time through was the fastest lap of the race, and they are still side by side as they head up towards Oggies with the Marcus on the inside line, the little frog-eyed Sprite on the outside line. They go back to being nose to tail when they come out of the corner, and now as they turn their way through what is the right-hander at the Williams and propel themselves down the Bentley Straight, who's going to come out in top? There's a raft of traffic as well up the road that we'll need dealing with before too much longer. I think it's going to be the David Waterhouse and Mark Richards MGB Roadster number 17 that's the first little bit of traffic that they will meet, and they should meet that towards the end of this lap, I would have thought. Maybe around the Bombhole and Coram is where they'll start to pick off the first of what's going to be 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 back markers at the end of this lap and at the start of the next. So yeah, through and past the number 17 MGB. David Cornwallis's 1600 Ti is going to be the next of those that they will want to pick off. The Radio Caroline backed car running as car number 648, which is the frequency that Radio Caroline even to this day still broadcasts on. So past that car they will go. Just over 10 minutes remaining, but the work doesn't stop there for the race leaders because there's more cars up the road to deal with, and those cars that they're now going to catch up with are going to be Brent Fowler, I think, and it will be the Longdon's Mini, won't it, which is now in the hands of Richard Longdon. So those two cars are busy having a squabble, but they finally realise that they're being bared down on by quicker cars as they headed towards the Wilson hairpin. Two wheels on the grass at the Wilson hairpin is Sam Polly, so desperate to try and hang on to the lead of the race, but two wheels on the grass on the way in and a back marker on the way out slows his progress, and it almost allows Richard Perry to take up the lead. Yes, it does. Richard Perry has snuck through at the wheel of the all-red Frog-Eyed Sprite, number 66, to take up the lead of the race. Sam Polly down into second position, but still not a great deal to choose between the pair of them as they now head in towards the braking area for Agostini yet again. There's more traffic to deal with. Francesco Roodhouse this time keeps out of harm's way. There's another MGB just up the road that they want to then try and squeeze their way through and pass. That's Robert Fisher's car, the number 72 car that keeps out of the way. So back markers dealt with again as they head around through Hamilton up towards the braking area for what will be Oggies, and again that puff of smoke from the tail end of the Marcos suggesting that again there was almost a lock break there. No, and there's problems. I think that's a spin for Richard Perry. And Richard Perry, who was leading the race, has had a spin coming out of Oggies pointing in the wrong direction. We've seen a spin for Sam Polly. We've seen a spin for Richard Perry. They have both pushed each other so very hard in this race that they've both made mistakes, and Richard Perry recovers and gets back on track, but only just ahead of the third place car, which is the orange BMW, the 1600 Ti, in the hands of Tom Peed. So we've lost the battle for the lead. Instead, as a result of the spin, we've now got a battle for second and third place. And there's a few little puffs of smoke there coming from Richard Perry's Frog-Eyed Sprite, who has dropped down into third position and has lost the place to Tom Peed. So keep an eye on the puffs of smoke that just came there. It wasn't much. Right, no, it's cement dust. Part of the way down the Bentley Straight, it was cement dust that came from the car because David Cornwallis ran over exactly the same piece of tarmac and the dust sort of appeared again. So, yeah, no issues for Richard Perry. Just a harmless spin as a result of a mistake, one would imagine. So clock is continuing to tick down. We've got 8 minutes remaining. Tom Peed sides his way past a little bit of traffic heading round through what is Coram, locks the brakes on the BMW heading in towards Murray's corner. He knows he's under pressure from the recovering Richard Perry, who tries to draw the Sprite alongside him. Austin Healey Sprite with 1380cc. It's a 2-litre engine that's underneath the bonnet of the BMW. And as they then thread their way through the right-hander now at Richie's corner, there's more traffic to deal with as Francesco Roodhouse Mini, the light green Mini, is in the way. And is this the opportunity for Richard Perry to pounce? He is looking to, but no, he's not going to be able to squeeze his way through at the Wilson hairpin. The back marker, Francesco, stays well and truly out of the way. But Richard Perry tries to get a better exit coming off the corner to draw himself at least alongside the Beamer, heading up towards the left-hander at Palmer, but he's still behind it as they head through the left-hander. They're on lap number 14 at the moment. There's 7.5 minutes of this race still remaining. As we say, we might have lost the battle for the lead of the race with Richard Perry having had the spin, but he's now involved in a great battle for second and third. More traffic up the road to deal with. Brent Fowler's Iris Blue Sprite is the next of those that they will need to dispatch a lap down. And again, neither Tom Peed in the BMW or Richard Perry at the wheel of the Austin Healey Frog-Eyed Sprite can afford to be compromised by any traffic that they'll meet. Brent Fowler's busy having his own little squabble with the Mini as well, which is going to be the car of Richard Longdon. And they're fighting away for what is 14th and 15th position, about to be lapped by the cars that are busy squabbling away for second and third places. So good fights as ever going on all the way down through the order. Thankfully for Tom Peed, and you could argue for Richard Perry, they meet those cars on the Bentley Straight. Can they both get past both of them? I think they do. Yeah, I think Tom Peed clears both back markers down the Bentley Straight. Richard Perry, did he clear both? Yes, he did. So second and third through and past the battle that's going on for 14th and 15th. 6 minutes still remaining. Nothing to choose between BMW and Sprite as they head up towards the conclusion of lap number 14 this time through. Now the car in third place, Richard Perry, has got the inside line this time heading around through Coram. He's going to sneak his way through and picks up second position. So job done before he even gets in towards Murray's. Richard Perry now up into second place. Tom Peed down into third place. Both of them leading their individual classes, as is Sam Polly, who's out in front. So Sam Polly leads Class C. Richard Perry in second place leads Class B. Tom Peed in third place leads Class E. Martin Reynolds down in 8th place. The number 27 car leads Class D at this stage. And if you look down to 14th place, the Mini that was doing battle with Brent Fowler that we mentioned a few moments ago, that leads Class F at the moment, car number 141. Those are largely most of your class leaders. So now that Richard Perry has retaken second position, that is, barring any problems for Sam Polly, as good as it's going to get, because with the spin and then the delay whilst he was battling with Tom Peate's BMW, it does mean that the number 66 Sprite is now 18 seconds off the lead of the race. So it just goes to show how much time he lost with a mixture of A, the spin, and B, recovering from that spin and getting stuck up behind the BMW for a couple of laps before he was eventually able to thread his way through. Now, the penalties for the Adams and Page Swinging 60s, if you win your group, now this is Group 1, you do pick up that 30-second penalty for the remainder of the season, which means if Sam Polly stays where he is, every time we have another race meeting and Sam is in attendance, he will have to conduct his pit stop as quickly as he can, but then serve a 30-second stationary penalty in the penalty box at each circuit. So it does mean that a second win is ever more harder to come by. Up towards Murray's good little fight going on. Sprite's all busy fighting away. Charles Marriott at the wheel of the number 62 midget is at the tail end of that little trio. Is it Kim Bradshaw that's ahead of him? It's number 171 that lies ahead, which is Kim Bradshaw, and Kim Bradshaw is fighting away also with the other car that was in that mix as well, which I think is a lap adrift of them. Yeah, so was it? Let's have a quick look. Kim Bradshaw is that one there. No, it would have been car number 119, the late pit stopper, wouldn't it? That particular car, which is the black Sprite Mark 1 of Ian Bergin. So they are all fighting for position. That is 10th, 11th and 12th places, actually, all in Class B. So that's 4th, 5th and 6th in their respective class at this stage. Class A catering for those cars, sorry, Class B, I should say, catering for those cars with between 1,000 and 1,400 cc engines. Three minutes to go. Won't be that much longer before we see the checkered flag. Our race leader is just pressing on up towards Hamilton, I think it was. Then I just could briefly see the race leader working his way through and round. Dr. Charles Marriott, the number 62 car, still under enormous pressure, trying to attack the 171 of Kim Bradshaw ahead as they head out of Oggies and up towards Williams. The black Sprite sitting behind as well, which is the number 119 car of Ian Bergin, who was the last of the cars to pit when we had the pit stop window open and close earlier on. So those three cars heading along the Bentley Straight and up towards Brundle and Nelson. Kim Bradshaw, then Dr. Charles Marriott, whose former car is out there in this race as well. That was the car that is in the hands of Tim Cairns, the number 18 car, who I think has retired. I haven't seen Tim out on circuit for quite some time. So Charles, having sold the Turner, picked up this MG and is now fighting wheel to wheel with Kim Bradshaw. The two of them absolutely side by side as they come round through Corham, fighting away for 10th and 11th place, with 12th not far behind as well, which, as we mentioned, is the Ian Bergin driven car. Who's the next of the cars behind that as well? That is the yellow little Sprite that sits behind as well, that is beginning to close in. So I think that might be for position as well. It will be. That's James Atkinson, number 81. So that will be for position over the start-finish line they'll come. James Atkinson threading his way through and past Ian Bergin's car. The next car that he wants to try and attack is going to be the number 62 of Charles Marriott. So four cars all together, all busy fighting for position and about to be lapped by the race leader, Sam Polly. So let's hope that they see that Sam is approaching. James Atkinson brakes very late to try and draw himself alongside Charles Marriott. Not quite going to do it. Charles Marriott is trying to attack Kim Bradshaw as they head up towards Palmer, and all of this is being looked at out of the windscreen by our race leader, Sam Polly, who will now be on to the last lap of the race by the look of things. So Sam could just afford to maybe ease off. He'll know that, I'm sure, he's got a reasonable lead, a 20-second lead, because he'll look at his mirrors and he won't be able to see anything that's a cause for concern or danger. So he could potentially just let this squabble continue. But he's now right up underneath it, and if he feels as though they're slowing up a little bit. I'm sure he'll just try and pick one or two of them off, but the cars ahead are, you know, quite entitled to have their own little fight. Through goes Sam Polly, off goes Kim Bradshaw. Kim Bradshaw losing the tail end of the car. It was at the front of that little quartet of midgets that was fighting away, midgets and sprites, and Kim lost the tail end of number 171, spun onto the grass on the infield, will get going again, but that means that now he has dropped himself down 1, 2, 3 places. It would have been as a result of that spin, if not more, but the clock has now ticked to 0. Our race leader, Sam Polly, who claimed victory in this equivalent race last year here on the 15th of August, is looking as though he is going to do exactly what Stuart Dayburn did earlier on in the Future Classics and make it 2 years on the bounce that he's going to win his respective series in the Classic Sports Car Club race here at Snetterton. So on the 300 circuit, out of Brundle and Nelson for the final time round, through the bomb hole goes the Mini Marcos, and Sam, who used to race a Mini in the Swinging 60s series and very successfully also for a good few years, switching to this Mini Marcos a season or so ago, is looking, despite the locked brakes and the spin whilst leading, which I'm sure Chris Buxton will talk to him about, and the fantastic battle he was having with Richard Perry, it does look as though Sam Polly is on for the victory. So the checkered flag is being readied. He should not really be able to overtake any more cars towards the start-finish line, because there was a waved yellow flag I think I saw there, but he comes through and is going to claim the victory. And the yellow flag was because at pit lane entry we've got Mark Canese has had a problem, so his black and orange Mini has faltered towards the end and has retired on the grass, and that was why I briefly saw a yellow flag there. So Sam Polly comes through to claim the win. Richard Perry had a busy race, but he comes up towards the checker flag now in the red Frog-Eyed Sprite to finish in 2nd position. Oh, what could have been from him, ultimately finishing a best part of 20 seconds behind. Here's Tom Peed at the wheel of the orange BMW 1600 Ti. He finishes in 3rd position, and it should be another BMW. It'll be the white BMW that will finish in what will be 4th position, which is Charles Tippett, and Claire Norman will be coming through to finish in 4th place. That car is a couple of corners away as yet, so there's another few cars that will head over the start-finish line before we see the 4th place car take the checkered flag, which will be the all-white BMW 2002. I think it'll be the car after Brent Fowler, the light blue Sprite that's just gone over the start-finish line. Here's the white BMW now heading towards the checkered flag. So it is Charles Tippett and Claire Norman that finish in 4th position. 5th place should be Steve and Adam Chaplin. Car number 421 should be the next one. We have Paul Cloutman's Austin A40 come over the start-finish line before that, though. Cloutman classified down in 16th position, a lap or so, just a lap off the lead. There goes very shortly over the start-finish line car number 421, Steve and Adam Chaplin. They will be just heading up towards the final corner now, I think, to finish in what will be 5th position. And the battered car of Connor Kay heading out of Murray's for the final time, I think, will complete the top 6. So let's confirm the results. Sam Polly claims the win and the class win, with Richard Perry in 2nd place also claiming his class, and Tom Peed makes it 3 class winners out of the top 3. Charles Tippett and Claire Norman finish in 4th place, with the Chaplins in 5th place and the damaged car of Connor Kay completing the top 6. Martin Reynolds takes a class win as he finishes in 7th place, with Julian Howe in 8th place, and 9th place goes the way of the 81 car of James Atkinson, with Charles Marriott completing the top 10. Just outside of the top 10, it was a late pit stop for Ian Bergin, with Kim Bradshaw spinning in the final stages to finish in 12th place, and the Longdons Mini, Richard and Rory, completing the top 13. Brent Fowler finished in 14th place, head of the Roodhouses, Rod and Francesca in 14th place, with Paul Cloutman's Austin A40 in 16th position, and then the pairing of Pomeroy and Powell in 17th place, head of Steve Adams in 18th place. Atkinson was there in 19th place, and the pairing of Taylor and Hope in their MGB complete top 20. Cars that had problems, well, you look at Tim Cairns, he did retire the Turner early on. Ian Staines had problems, and there were also problems for the Hugheses with their Frog-Eyed Sprite, who didn't do that many laps, retired on lap number 3 for them. So that gives you the results for the Adams and Page Swinging 60s Group 1 here at Snetterton. We've got more Swinging 60s action coming up shortly. That will be from the Group 2 cars. That will be the final CSC C-Series race of the day here at Snetterton, but not our final race, because remember, once we get the Adams and Page Swinging 60s out of the way, we've got another race from the Morgan Challenge to come up, and if it's half as good as the Morgan Challenge race earlier on, we are in for another absolute cracking race. So the Swinging 60s competitors making their way in towards the Parc Fermé area. I can see striding purposefully in the general direction of where the winners are being parked up is going to be Chris Buxton. So I will hand you downstairs to Chris Buxton whilst I can just ensure that I can go for a natural break.
Down here in the winner's circle, we have got number 59, Sam Polly. I forgot how tall you were, sir.
Fairly tall.
What a win. So 2 for 2 from, so last year you won. You had a bit of a excursion at Wilson last year, although it was just a little bit wide.
It was.
You decided to better it this time by doing some lawn mowing.
I did a full rotation, I think. Went off to see the Norfolk scenery, and then once I found out where I was, once I came to a stop, I found the track again.
Goodness
and caught up. Yeah, it was pretty exciting.
You had a puncture that saw you after qualifying that saw you come back on the back of a truck, and you decided to go back out there again. So, but what a race! Absolutely. I mean, talk us through the battle you had with Mr. Perry.
Yeah, he's got. I think I've probably got the edge just occasionally in a few places, and he's got the grip out through Coram and things. So he gains on me through Coram, and then I've tried to sort of pull away a little bit where I can. But no, it was great fun. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. He had a moment off, I had a moment off, and it all evened out in the end.
A moment, he says. Great stuff. Well done on the win. Thank you very much for your time, Sam Perry. Such a wonderful car. I love the fact that the tallest driver of the three has the smallest car. Right, over to number 66. That's Richard Perry. Well, you gave him a good old run for his money.
It was fun. It really was. He's so quick in a straight line, that car. But I'd got him round something like Coram and one or two other bits, and I could see him locking up as well. And it's like, oh, is he going to go? And then eventually he did. So it's like, yes. But I'm really bad at keeping the pace up. I drop off because I think, oh, there's nobody around. And we had a bit of a fuddled pit stop. But actually, it was really nice to see Sam come past. So I thought, oh, we're back on for the next one. And of course, I locked up into, I never know what the corner's called, but
the Wilson hairpin.
Yeah, made a mistake there, and that was it. You know, end of story. I couldn't catch him after that. So we were amongst the back margers, who were very good too. So no, brilliant race. No rain as well.
Yes, it's threatening for the bigger group later on.
Oh, is it?
Will we be seeing you for the rest of the year?
Probably most of them. The longer ones like Anglesey, probably not. But I wanted to see how we went here before we went in for Thruxton. But certainly, yeah, Brands definitely and Alton definitely. So we'll be back, yeah.
Very much looking forward to it. Thank you very much, Richard Perry, on a wonderful second position. And here's a familiar name in the wonderful Vargas Racing BMW, Mr. Pede.
Yes, hello.
Enjoy that?
Fantastic. A good race, good clean racing. I thought if I left them alone long enough, they might both kill each other, but no. So, yeah, I've got them in places, but on the twiddly bits, I can't keep up with these little cars, but terrific. Good race.
Still the king of the BMWs, though. So, again, you had a fair amount of fighting to do to get to that position.
Yes, I think so. I've had the car a few years, so I more or less know how it goes now, but it's still a heavy little beast. So,
but you weather it well. Excellent. Great podium spot for you, Mr. P. Thank you very much for your time. It is now time for the big beast to come out. It's the Adams and Page Swinging 60s Group 2. They've now left the paddock. Let's throw back up to Mark Werrell in the commentary box.